Hello, Marketing 304 students. My name is Ruth Cannell, and I am Valpo's business librarian, and I'm creating this video to help you with your memo assignment. But I'm not here just to help you with this memo assignment. I am here to help you throughout this course and throughout any of your other business courses. So if you have research questions, please reach out. I am here to help. So we're going to start today with giving an overview of the library's homepage. Hopefully this looks familiar to many of you. We're at library.valpo.edu. So today we are going to be working from a web page that I've developed specifically for this course. But just keep in mind, if you are in a class that does not have a web page, all of the research databases and research sources are available here through the center search box. We have Summon, which is kind of like the Google Scholar of Valparaiso University. The catalog, this is items that we have mostly in print, but we have some ebooks in there as well. Journals and databases. But right now, let's go ahead and go to the web page for this class. If you go under Subject and Library Guides, and scroll down until you get to Business Resources. Click on that. When you are in Blackboard, there should be a link on the left-hand side that says Library Guides. If you click on that, that will also take you directly to this page. That is an easy way to get here. And then from here, we're going to go under My Class, Marketing 304. So this semester, you're going to be working on a memo assignment. So you are going to be finding an article in an approved publication that pertains to a marketing or consumer behavior issue. And once you find that article, you will write a memo that summarizes the article's content and highlights its relevance. So, your professor has given you a list of approved publications. You may choose other publications. If those are peer-reviewed publications, she has said that that's absolutely fine. You don't need to run those by her. If they are not peer-reviewed publications, she would like you to run those by her. But if you're doing peer-reviewed or something from this list, you are absolutely fine. So if you scroll down further on this guide, you'll see that I've added a video tutorial on how to browse for articles in journals, magazines, and newspapers. I'm not going to cover that in this video, but please watch that to find out how to search within those sources. What I want to focus in on this video is developing search terms and good search strategies within the databases. To do that, I'm going to model your assignment. So the consumer behavior that I want to look at today is how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected consumer purchasing behavior? So the first thing you want to do is look and see what are the key terms in this research question. Well, COVID-19 certainly seems relevant. Pandemic is a related term, also relevant to this topic. And I also did purchasing. We could do consumer purchasing or other variants along those lines, but this is just highlighting three of these key terms. So what you want to do when you're coming up with your search phraseology is to think about what are some synonyms for the terms that you're looking for. We have COVID-19, we talked about pandemic, and then also coronavirus. That's an easy one there that means the same thing. What about purchasing? So we have purchasing, buying would also be a synonym, and a related term could be hoarding. So if there's a specific aspect of that question that you're interested in that's related, you can add that in as well. So we're going to think about this as a Venn diagram here. So we have in the blue circle all of our terms that are related or synonyms for COVID-19, and in the yellow one we have those that are related to purchasing. What we are interested in finding is those articles that are in that overlap section right there in the center. All right, so how do we do that? We want to combine our synonyms and related terms with or, and combine different concepts with and. So let's see what that would look like in this particular example. So this is an example of a well-crafted search. We have all of our synonyms or related terms combined by or, and our two groupings combined by and. These or, and not, which is, I'm not using not here, but not is another example of that, are called Boolean terms. They are our connecting terms. You'll notice here that I have these all capitalized. So why am I doing that? If we go to this next page, you can see this is a search in one of our databases, Summon, and what it's doing is if those words are lowercase, it's throwing them away and treating them all as and. So it considers these filler words, so it's doing COVID-19 and coronavirus and pandemic and hoarding and buying. So you'll see here we only have 255 results. When you do it in caps, it realizes that those are not filler words. They are actually part of the search strategy, and it treats them as we want them to be treated. And we have here 436,000 results. This is not true for all of the databases, but it's true for some of them. So if you just get in the habit of putting those Boolean terms in caps, you will be fine across all different databases, and you don't have to worry about which databases follow that rule and which ones do not. Okay, so at this point I'm going to go back to your course web page, and we are going to scroll down here to databases for marketing research. I highly recommend these first two, Business Source Complete and Business Premium Collection. I'm just going to show you one of them today. They operate fairly similarly, so once you get comfortable with one, you should be fine in the other one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Business Premium Collection. And we've already put in the time to develop our search terms, so I'm just going to paste those in. And I'm going to leave this anywhere, so it means that these words could appear in the abstract, in the title, or the full text. They can be literally anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and hit search. Okay, so we have 366,000 results here in this Business Premium Collection database. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at these limiters over here. Not surprisingly, there's very little showing up before this recent time period. Of course, COVID-19 wouldn't appear in these older results, but we can pull this forward here and update that. It shouldn't affect our numbers too much. Other limiters that we could look at are location. So we can see our first result here is from China. You may want to take a worldwide perspective, in which case you would want to leave that in, but if you want to limit things to the United States, you can do that over here on the left under location. You could choose United States. Another limiter that I like to use is subject. We were searching anywhere for those topics. By selecting subject, we narrow things down to those items that have been specifically identified as having that as a main topic. And I'm going to choose those that specifically have COVID-19 and coronaviruses listed as subject headings. So those are going to be main topics of the article, and hit apply. And that narrowed us down to 140,000. Still a lot, but a little bit better. Let's look at these source types. Scholarly journals, there's not a whole lot here. And that makes sense, right? Because it takes a while for scholarly journal articles to be published. After the author writes them, they have to go through the peer review process, the journal's publishing format. It takes a while. So those have a much slower turnaround time than newspapers, magazines, or trade journals. So trade journals are publications that are geared towards a specific profession, but it's like a magazine for a profession, so it's not going to be peer reviewed. It cuts out that time. So we could go here under more, and I'm going to avoid wire feeds. That's going to be newswire kinds of things that appear on the radio, or maybe short AP newswire things. I'm going to choose newspapers, trade publications, magazines, and scholarly journals. We are going to avoid blogs, podcasts, websites, and conference proceedings. I'm going to hit apply. So from here, we have a list of results. I can see on the left-hand side there's an image to show me what type of publication it is. Remember that anything that is a scholarly peer-reviewed journal is automatically acceptable for this assignment. You do want to be cautious. Just because something's in a scholarly journal doesn't necessarily mean that it qualifies. On occasion, in some scholarly journals, they will allow letters to the editor or that kind of thing. The database will recognize that as a scholarly publication and won't identify the article or the letter to the editor at the local level as not being peer-reviewed. So read your potential article with a critical eye and make sure that it is appropriate for this assignment. So when you find things that look good, go ahead and select them. I'm just going to select a couple here as an example. And then we're going to go up here and go to our selected items. And I'm going to go over under Cite. And for this assignment, you need to include your citation with APA format. So this puts it in APA format. It's not always perfect. It's usually pretty good. You'll need to double check it, but it will get you most of the way there for the citation. You also have the option of emailing yourself the citation with a specific format. Just make sure you hit bibliography, include bibliographic citations at the end, and choose APA. Enter your email address and your name, and that will send you the citations and the article in the full text. And if you have any questions or problems with this assignment, please reach out. I am available to meet you via Zoom or have an email conversation or a phone conversation with you, whatever you prefer. Good luck with your assignment.